I'm Malcolm Van Delst, and this is an excerpt from The 9-Year-Old CEO. Last week, we met Beowulf, the 9-year-old CEO, his assistant Arduino, and his brother Sullian. We learned that Arduino had found Beowulf in a gutter when he was 3, and that his and Sullian's parents were enslaved by a genie. Beowulf's company is hugely successful, even though they have yet to publish their first game. I wanted to check this edit before moving into the next piece. In Crash of Santa, Beowulf's song launches the portly benefactor from his sleigh. Santa flies and flies, landing in another dimension. Like in every sci-fi time travel novel since Einstein, Santa rips the fabric of time and space. Continuing chapter 5, called Crash of Santa. We need all bleep. We need more. Bleeping, bleeping, bleep. Hands on deck, Beowulf screamed. On it, replied Arduino. I've outsourced prototyping to a friend in India. Prototyping? We should be building. Yes, Arduino replied, keeping her voice even. But until we have game mechanics, shamanics, schematics. Do we have schematics? Arduino looked at her pint-sized boss. I'm just messing with you. Arduino smiled. We do, in fact, have schematics for the new building in Centertown, but I think we should focus on Crash of Santa, at least until development's done. Beowulf petted Juniper, the cat who had led Arduino to him that fateful night so many years ago. Who's my best friend? He crooned as the black animal flopped onto her back for belly rubs. Harvinder, Arduino continued, my friend in India, has a whole team working. Beowulf, in a calmer state of mind after patting his cat's side. What kind of prototype are they doing? How many people does it take to make a prototype? Well, we want it fast and they work cheap. Arduino mumbled the last half of her sentence, and then she brightened. They've probably finished already. Last night, Parvinder said they wouldn't leave until they were done. I hate wireframes. Beowulf grouched. Oh, what's the point? You can't see anything move. You can't see artwork. You certainly can't hear anything. If they've done a paper prototype, why do we need a wireframe? I see your point. I'll tell them to go straight to Greybox. Beowulf nodded as he batted the fuzzy ball of Juniper's swatty thing while the animal leaped around after it. Arduino? Beowulf spoke in a small, high-pitched voice. Yes? Could you bring me my... Of course! And don't... Of course, she said again, nodding sharp and short like a military general. Beowulf's special pajamas were onesies with pictures of Juniper and an astronaut's helmet on them. He'd had them commissioned in utmost secrecy, instructing Arduino to pay with Monero, a cryptocurrency favored by dark web types, impossible to trace, unlike Bitcoin, he'd informed her. Then he'd asked her to buy a P.O. box in her own name to receive the jammies, then get rid of the P.O. box. Whenever he got too stressed, he wanted to wear them and nap. I will bring your garment and make up your bed, Arduino stated, even as her heart filled for her young boss. She saw how he labored at being authoritative and leaving childhood behind, even as he was still in it. She pushed a button on a wall. The bookcase that mostly contained video game paraphernalia instead of books disappeared to reveal a small 1940s cage elevator. She got in and clanged up 4 floors to where Beowulf's hidden day room existed. Resplendent in draperies, stars, and moons. It looked like a cutscene from A Trip to the Moon, that famous Georges Mélière's silent movie from 1902. Where or how Beowulf had seen it, Arduino had no idea. The kid absorbed cultural touchstones at a dizzying rate. He absorbed everything at a dizzying rate, and somehow managed to keep the most iconic and powerful ideas, images, and events foremost in his mind. Beowulf's room had a massive pirate ship bed that rocked in a wooden-waved sea and much lusher draperies than in A Trip to the Moon, all purple and blue velvets. He had a real pirate's glass from one of Captain Kidd's ships. That's Captain Kidd from the 15th century, not the later mainstream one. And actual pirate treasure chests containing real gold and jewelry from 17th century buccaneers, Edward Teach and Henry Morgan. In his big pirate bed, up near his mountain of pillows, a smaller version of the same sleeping enclosure sat, for Juniper. Back in Sullian's office, which wasn't really an office, but a playroom, Legos, toys, video equipment, beanbag chairs. Arduino had said that every tech company had to have beanbag chairs. A cake decorating station. Sullian had insisted on that over Arduino's protests. Maybe he wanted to dip his toe into baking video territory, he'd said, and besides, he loved decorating cakes. They gave him ideas, inspired artwork for Beowulf's games. Sullivan stared at his giant curved monitor. The thing was 6 feet high and 10 feet wide, made especially for him. No one else in the world had a monitor of such clarity and detail, and of course, no one in the world had his talent. Sullivan was happy with the results of Slimming Santa. He looked like the guy in Parks and Recreation, except older, with whiter hair. What was the actor's name? Nick somebody? That's what Arduino said anyway. Sullivan didn't know him, only had the photo Arduino supplied. And in Bengaluru, Parvinder's team wrestled with the convoluted gameplay as outlined in Beowulf and Arduino's Bible. Who is Jack Yeeted Pants? Is he some sort of American celebrity? Mina asked, staring at the drawing Beowulf had made in Microsoft Paint. I don't think so. This boy, he is a child genius, apparently, and comes up with these. I see, Mina interrupted, squinting at her computer screen and reading how Jack Yeeted Pants appears out of nowhere, dancing and singing, distracting the reindeers, and crash. But he looks so unformed, like a child drew. Oh, she looked from her monitor to Parvinder, who nodded. Americans, they both said at the same time. Beowulf drew Jack as a crude line drawing with blue rectangles for trousers and a zaggy red torso with one triangular-shaped arm, and one thin rectangular one with a black outlined head whose blue dot eyes careened into each other, while a smile escaped the confines of his cheeks. This character is a wild card, Mina commented. Do you mean Beowulf or Jack? Parvinder chuckled. Chapter 6. Jack. Jack. You don't know him. I don't know him. He's like a tab of acid in the mid-'80s. In the beginning, there was Jack, and Jack had a groove. Okay, he didn't. I mean, he did, but in Crafts with Santa, he wasn't, unless he was. Is Jack Beowulf? Is Jack Avatar for throwaway child, 2 throwaway children, yeeted from their home by circumstances beyond their control, who nonetheless will not give up, will fight for the attention, nourishment, and love they need at any and all costs? Jack is in the house. A messed up raver with his 2 large pants and weird-shaped top grinned. And from this groove came the groove of all. I am the creator, but not selfish, because once you enter my house, it becomes our house. And you see, no one owns it because house is a universal language, spoken and understood by all. A feeling that no one understands unless they're deep in the vibe. An uncontrollable desire to jack your body. And as I told you, this is our house. In every house, there is a keeper, and in this one, it is Jack. Who is he? Jack gives you the power to jack your body. Jack gives you the power to do the snake. Jack gives you the key to the wiggly worm. Jack learns you how to walk. Jack is the one that brings nations and nations of all jackers together. You may be black, you may be white, you may be Jew or Gentile. It doesn't make a difference in our house. And this is fresh.